Ladies and gentlemen, do we have a stream for you guys tonight, as this is the running of the New York Metro Speedway Rush Hour 350. Yes, we are at New York City for a street course race on NASCAR 06 for the fourth race of our custom schedule season out of 36. A season-long points format has rookie Carl Edwards in the points lead through the first three races of the season. Still looking for his first career win. We'll see if he can get that throughout the course of the year. And this should be a wild card race in the stepping stones to win the championship. It is a new course. Obviously, it's going to bring a lot of new challenges. We're going to see these drivers get put to the test in the first ever NASCAR street course race in NASCAR history. We're doing it on the video games. All the talk of NASCAR getting a street course next year, and EA Sports delivered 20 plus years ago. We had street course racing. It was just virtually. But needless to say, we are about to get this race underway. A first-time pole sitter for second-year driver Scott Wimmer, as he'll be on the pole in the Bill Davis Racing number 22 Dodge. We'll see how he'll do today. Maybe he can compete for the win and potentially get his first career win. What an upset that would be for that small team as well. A team that did win the Daytona 500, of course, a couple seasons prior to this 05 season that we are running in right now. Hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We're going to get into tonight's live race commentary on the video game side of things. We do the real races on the race weekend. This coming weekend, live commentary, Las Vegas Cup race. That will be at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Be right here for the coverage there. But for the coverage tonight, this is going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it all day. I think we're going to have a good race. 175 laps. The green flag is in the air, and Wimmer's going to lead the field down into turn one. Up the middle goes Rusty Wallace, 3 wide, trying to squeeze himself between Jeff Gordon and Greg Biffle. Biffle qualified outside the front row in second. He's going to cut Wallace off, and Wimmer's going to hold on to the lead through the first couple corners on the 24 of Jeff Gordon. All about track position today. It's going to be tough to pass. This is as wide open of a street course as you'll ever see, though. Gordon to the outside. They're going to split the race leader, Scott Wimmer, and Greg Biffle's going to get to the lead on the bottom. Gordon went to the top to try to get around the 22. Biffle brake checked everybody going into the corner. I shouldn't say brake checked, but he locked the brakes up, sent it into the corner. He saw the bottom lane was open with those two battling. I didn't think we were going to see an opening lap 3 wide pass for the lead like that towards the end of the race course, but we did, and Greg Biffle, despite not qualifying on the pole, will lead lap number 1. Locking up the brakes a little bit in turn 1 as well. He didn't have an issue with that at qualifying, just pushing maybe a little too hard right now. Gordon back alongside Wimmer through the S's, so they work their way up the bridge. Do a hard right-handed corner. Mark DeMars, Dave, Patrick Shatterley, Asai Zeeb, Billy Kramer, and others welcome into the stream. Jeff Gordon going to take over second. Biffle does get 5 bonus points. Biffle has won the last 2 races of the season, and he led the Daytona 500 with 90 laps to go, and led the most laps in that race with 60 laps led, but unfortunately did not get the win because of blowing that motor with 90 laps left while leading the race. Ended up finishing 42nd. He is 5th in points right now, but he is 31 out of first. So he's not that far out of first through 3 races. But what a hot streak for Greg Biffle at the start of the season right now. Couldn't have really asked for much better out of the 16 car. Kind of a tough circumstance. Just blew a motor while leading at Daytona, and hopefully, I mean, who knows? He could have won the first 3 races of the season. It would be unprecedented. Trying to go for a 3rd consecutive win tonight. And then we have a doubleheader tomorrow night at Pocono and Dover with 2 50% races on the schedule, which will definitely be interesting to see how hot this streak can go for Greg Biffle at the start of the year. Totally Not Suscat, thanks for tuning in as well. Greg Biffle's led 3 laps. He's slowly starting to pull away from the rest of the field. 56.575 that last lap. That was his fastest of the first 3 so far in the race. A clean air advantage, though. We know clean air is king, but especially on a street course where it's very narrow, tough to pass. It's very wide, but it is a much one-groove racetrack, so Kind of a somewhat beginner's error there from Scott Wimmer, leaving that bottom open. Heading into this hard-braking corner down the hill. Biffle with a little power slide getting in. Hangs on to the race car, though. Gotta be careful doing that early in the run. It's not going to bite him, but the more and more he does it, the more those rear tires are going to really start to give out on him. Corey Freed as well. Welcome into the stream. Locking those brakes up into turn one again. Jeff Gordon kind of staying within that half a second to 0.7 of a second range off the lead from Biffle. Biffle comfortably out ahead by about 4 or 5 car lengths. Biffle did win the first road course race of the season at the Daytona road course, and he led all but 11 laps of that race, so kind of picking up where he left off there. Led 315 of the 500 laps at Martinsville 2 nights ago in a race that had 21 cautions in that 500 lap event under the lights at Martinsville. Alright, our second night race in the early going of the season with this one. We're going to take our first field pass of the race today. We'll see where Matt Kenseth in the 17 car is in the early going, and right now Kenseth's all the way back in 36th. His teammate Kurt Busch not that much further up ahead, and things are definitely a lot more congested back here. Car taking a big dive down to the bottom. Kenseth going to the top. That's Leffler on the inside of Riggs. 3 wide through turn 1 and now into 2 as they enter the S's. And Kenseth's going to be able to get around both of them. It is so dark on this racetrack. They need more lights in downtown New York City. Well, then again, this was a long time ago, so maybe they do now. Maybe they have the lights now. They probably have holograms now. The infrastructure's good, though. I'll give them that. Pretty smooth. Kenseth not going 3 wide to the bottom. I didn't even see Kurt Busch there. It is so dark around this racetrack, and all the darker colored cars are very difficult to see. Kenseth just made contact with his teammate Kurt Busch. Joe Nemechek constantly blocking Matt Kenseth, and Kenseth's got really nowhere to go. A lot of bounds on this racetrack. Kenseth going way down to the bottom, and he turns Nemechek up the track, and then the wall goes to 0-1 hard. Caution's out for the first time tonight. Nemechek blocked Kenseth so far down the track, and Kenseth, oh my gosh, that's such a hard hit. I mean, he went from about 90 miles an hour to 0 in a hurry. Luckily, he hit right side of the car, not left side. That was a hard impact for Joe Nemechek. And we've got our first caution of the evening. Matt Kenseth's going to be going to the tail. He had quite a bit of damage. It was either Kenseth was going to hit that wall head on when Nemechek blocked him, or Nemechek was going to get turned, and it looked like Nemechek was the one who got turned. There was a car on the outside. I think it was Casey Mears in the 41 that Nemechek had actually spun off of the second time around. He might have had the car saved if Mears wasn't there. But Kenseth going to the tail end of the field here. It was Newman. I made contact with 2 cars. I think I made contact with Kurt Busch, and then it kind of turned me into Newman. Caution number 1. I don't think we're going to see as many as Martinsville was the other night, though you never know. We've had a lot of cautions on the channel lately. Atlanta last night with our Cup race had 18 yellows. We had 18 at Phoenix the race before that on NASCAR 22, and then had 21 cautions at Martinsville a couple nights ago, so we'll see if the trend's going to continue with a lot of cautions today. We already have one early. Green flag back in the air. Biffle will lead the field to the green. Single file restart. With nobody being a lap down in the early going, no surprise. Oh my gosh, everybody checking up into the first turn, and Kenseth had to go into the wall just to miss everybody. That ended up actually being a wise decision in hindsight. So he didn't hit the wall hard. No safer barrier around the wall at any corner, any straightaway around here, so that also made Nemechek's hit quite a bit heavier than a impact into, say, a safer barrier or a tire wall of some sort. It is so tight mid-pack, though. Especially on this restart. It was tight before that, obviously, which is why we saw a caution. Nemechek out of the race. Is he actually out of the race? There is one car out already, I believe. I would not doubt that it's Nemechek. I mean, the right side of his car is pancaked. The roll bar on the right side of the chassis is probably in the driver's seat right now after that impact. And with a block on the 43 of Jeff Green, he was clear at least. Can't wait to swap away from Kenseth. I'm glad Greg Biffle's got track position right now. That's going to be the name of the game. Stay out of the pits as much as you can help it. And hope if you pit, everybody else comes with you. Kenseth with a run on Michael Waltrip and Jason Leffler. He's going to go 3 wide to the inside. That's going to put him on the top in this final corner before heading back to the front straightaway. Waltrip pulling clear again. Kenseth staying a bit wide this time. Way wide, actually, into turn 1. Expecting some bottlenecking on the inside lane. He does pull alongside Michael Waltrip. And now into the S's. Mostly right-hand turns around the street course. Almost a mostly oval configuration. Some left-hand turns in there, but none of the left-handers are hard left-handed turns. All the hard turns are right-handed. Scott, oh my goodness, Scott Riggs about went for a ride. He made a great save. Same corner Nemechek wrecked earlier. Oh, and Riggs throws a block on Kenseth and knocked him into the wall. That was deserved. Kenseth did get into him first. A retaliation. We're going to try to find Carl Edwards in this pack somewhere. And Edwards is a lot further up the running order, as it looks like Jeff Gordon is actually in the lead at the front of the field. Carl Edwards on the inside of Biffle for third. Biffle really crowding the 99. The two teammates are side by side. Tony Stewart, deep dive into the corner, trying to get underneath of Jeff Gordon. Biffle's still holding Edwards very tightly. Stewart getting a little tight in the wake of the dirty air behind Jeff Gordon. Edwards with a run, down low. He's going to pull underneath Stewart. And Stewart's under Gordon. And they're going to be 3 wide for the lead into turn 1 if Gordon doesn't get down low enough to try to block anybody. Oh, Edwards got kind of pinched off. He didn't make contact there with any cars, but he did make contact with the wall. It's a good thing he didn't make contact with another car, because I think that would have resulted in another caution. Edwards fighting for the bottom underneath of Jeff Gordon. Gordon blocking. Gordon blocks again. Up into the wall goes Edwards. Gordon goes wide, and Biffle's up to second. Oh, and Gordon tries to block Edwards again, and again he knocks him into the wall. Gordon's a madman right now. Stewart in the lead for the first time. That'll be 5 bonus points at the start-finish line. Carl Edwards getting knocked around by Jeff Gordon. I think the rookie's going to have to stand up for himself here before long. Edwards has fallen now from 3rd to 6th. Ashley G, thanks for tuning in. Also, Michael Turner, see you in the chat. Biffle trying to run down Tony Stewart at the front of the field. 4 different leaders already. Make that 3 different leaders so far. Edwards on the outside of Jimmy Johnson. These Hendrick Chevrolets are beating up on Carl Edwards right now. Edwards going to make the pass, though. Johnson going to overdrive the corner. Edwards to the inside of Elliott Sadler. This is for 4th into turn 1. Locking the brakes up was Edwards, making contact with Sadler. More contact in the S's. Edwards pulls him back in on Jeff Gordon again. Big time corner there. Gordon's thrown some bad blocks already. Carl Edwards trying to undercut him. Gordon with another block, and he's in the wall, and he gets turned. And back across the racetrack, and hopefully everybody misses him. Caution's out for the 2nd time. Gordon tried to throw another block, and he turned himself into the wall, and then back across the track. Somehow everybody in the field misses him. And we are under caution again. The fans in that section of the racetrack probably going nuts when that happened. Probably booing the rookie as well, even though it wasn't really Carl Edwards' fault. Gordon threw another bad block. He stuffed Edwards in the wall earlier. And the corner leading up to that 2nd SS on the racetrack. Does look like everybody's going to stay out. And I'm not sure if Gordon's going to be a rival with Edwards or not, but the green flag's going to be back in the air regardless. Edwards trying to block the 24. Biffle going for the lead in turn 1. And he's still side by side with Stewart. Not clear yet. He did deserve it. I held my line. He just moved right across my bumper and got hooked. Luckily, everybody else missed him. We didn't have any innocent bystanders in that. Lucky that has been the case with the 2 cautions we have had so far. Both in the back half of the racetrack. Edwards underneath Tony Stewart for 2nd. Door to door for the spot. A little contact. Rubbin's racing into the final corner. And it'll be Greg Biffle in the 16 car. Still has the lead. Edwards trying to get to 2nd, but can't quite get there. We'll go back to Kurt Busch in the 97 next. He's in the 25th place position right now. He's going to throw a little block on Sterling Marlin. And dive underneath. Oh, Wimmer. Trying to bounce off the inside wall. He got a little loose up ahead. Stacking up Brian Vickers in the 25 car behind him. Wimmer started on the pole and is already back to 20th in just 22 laps. What a free fall for that Bill Davis Racing Dodge. Busch moving through the field. Outside the top 30 for a little bit, not that long ago. Oh. Sounded like somebody made contact behind. Kevin Harvick underneath of Kurt Busch. I think these 2 are rivals. It appears. Still side by side down the main straightaway to the start-finish line. Harvick going to have the advantage down on the bottom. Big checking up, though, on the inside. 3 wide off the exit of turn 1. Oh, contact with the 178. These cars are very unstable, I'll tell you that much. There's contact. It is very hard to hold on to the race car. Corners are so tight, too. Everybody's fighting for the same spot. Nobody really using the apron, all trying to stay out with all 4 tires on the racing surface. Kurt Busch really one of the only ones actually trying to take advantage of the apron. Kurt's worked himself up to 16th right now. Looking down to the bottom. They're going to be 3 wide on the main straightaway heading for turn 1. Kurt Busch just ran his fastest lap of the race that last time by as well. Busch down on the bottom. Trying to make it work. He's side by side with Casey Kane for 12th. Boris said in his elements, top 15 right now in the 36 car. Busch on the inside of Bliss. Bliss with a couple top 10s already this season. Mike Bliss had the miracle season last season. I want to see if somebody else is going to be able to do it again this year. I think it's likely. Oh, Jeff Burton going wide. Guess more of a defensive line down to the bottom. Kurt Busch closing on the 31, gets underneath him, and the battle for 9th place is on. Kurt Busch going to outbrake Jeff Burton and make the clean pass. Kurt Busch has a rocket ship of a race car right now. He's probably going to be one to look out for later on in the race. Yeah, Travis Quaffle up there as well, contending for a top 10. The 77. It's a Penske Racing entry. Another Penske car, Rusty Wallace right up here. He qualified in those first couple rows. He's back to 8th place. Gets a bump from Kurt Busch. Kurt just launched him into that corner. More contact, and Wallace into the wall hard. I don't know who hit harder, Kurt Busch or Rusty Wallace there. My goodness. That's going to knock Kurt Busch back to 12th. And we'll switch to Mark Martin next, who we have not really seen in the field, so I'm not sure where he's at. And he is in 28th. Not too far in front of Matt Kenseth. Scott Wimmer's still free falling. He's stuck on the outside in turn 1. He's even holding up the outside lane. Mark Martin's going to take him 3 wide. We've seen a lot of 3 wide racing already today. More than what I thought we were going to see. Should have known that lap 1 3 wide pass for the lead. Down in the hairpin. Through the carousel. And into that hairpin they go. Mark Martin making some gains up on the top of the racetrack. 3 wide with Casey Mears. Sterling Marlin going wide. Ryan Newman looking to get underneath him. Marlin going to cut down and block. Potentially. Not enough. Mark Martin hanging on the outside of Ryan Newman, trying to get to the inside. Big block by Martin. That was an aggressive move that paid off perfectly, and he also gets around Sterling Marlin. Mark Martin had a strong start to the season in those first 2 races and had a great run at the Daytona Road Course earlier this season, as well as the Daytona 500, but ended up finishing outside the top 30 on speed at Martinsville. For another good run on another road course early in the season, though. Bill also welcome into the stream. So Biffle took the lead on the restart, continues to lead at the front of the field. We're at lap 28. Not sure exactly what the fuel window is looking like. Oh, Joe Nemechek about turned Mark Martin in turn 1. What a save by the 6 of Martin. Joe Nemechek trying to get dumped again. Just kidding. He came in hot. Just plowed right into the back of the 6. I wasn't expecting that. Like a short track mixed with a road course right now. Feels like we're at Martinsville all over again. Tell you what, this race has been a lot of fun, and it has been action-packed to say the least. Ethan, thanks for tuning in. Kurt Busch was in 12th the last we saw of him during this current field swap. One more lap with Mark Martin, and then we'll get back to race leader Greg Biffle. Things are a lot more tame where he's at. right side of the field swap, getting to see some other racing in the pack. I will say Biffle's got the best handling of the Roush cars, with all 5 of them. Probably why he's up where he's at in the field. Not where the other ones are at, which is not in the top 5. Well, Edwards was in 4th, I guess. And Gordon kind of knocked him backwards, and then he got back up to, what, 2nd or 3rd? That's where Edwards is at currently. Oh, they're 3 wide. Nope, not quite. I thought Martin was in the middle. Now they're 3 wide. Martin down low. Borised kind of holding these cars up, trying to hang on to 15th. And we'll go back to Greg Biffle in the 16 car at the front. Carl Edwards is in 2nd. He's battling Tony Stewart right now. We're at lap 30 in this race. It's likely going to be anywhere between a 2 to 3 stop race. We know road courses can be fuel mileage races prior to stage racing. With this being a new one, and the first time I've raced here on this game, we haven't raced here since NASCAR 05 on the custom schedule season then, which was probably well over a calendar year ago from the last time we raced at. Like Roush's RFK. I think the rebrand has done them pretty good. Biffle just ran his fastest lap of the race that last time by. It looked like a 56.2. It's the fastest lap from any of the Roush cars for that matter, and I'm sure that clean air is helping him out quite a bit. Go alternate through the different camera angles for the first time today. Right at the start-finish line, Biffle hit halfway out of gas. We're on lap 32 right now, so about 31 full laps on a half a tank, but we have had 2 cautions already for 6 caution laps. So probably looking at about 50 green flag laps is all you could go on fuel on a standard road course, really. Nothing too out of the ordinary there. I always say standard road course. Standard road course for this size, which is not a very big road course considering that we're having lap times less than a minute. Hence the reason this race is 175 laps. It's not going to be much longer than a 500-mile race. This one being 350 kilometers. It's looking like 3 stops, but it's also going to depend on how many cautions we get too. Get a few more yellows, there is a chance that these guys can make it on 2 stops. I wouldn't doubt it. Biffle out to a 1-second lead. Tire tracks in turn 1. Skid marks from drivers locking the brakes up. Definitely not surprised to see them do that. Yep, the Chuck Rice Street Race, my Dodge Viper against Ryan Newman. That is true. NASCAR 05. That's how I got my modifier. Just going through the dialogue of the NASCAR 05 career mode. 350 miles? I don't think it's miles. I feel like it's kilometers. Honestly, can't remember exactly how big this road course is, but I think it's kilometers. Because Sonoma would be 350 miles, I guess, technically. But it takes like 20 seconds, about 10, probably about 10 to 12 seconds less a lap. And that race is only 110 laps. Oh, so maybe it is 350 miles, actually. That could make sense. I was thinking it was just kilometers. That's not bad for a road course. Not like some of the 500-mile races we'll see on these fantasy tracks later in the season. There are a couple of them that are going to be really long. I'm just fair warning you guys, those might be 5 to 6 hour races. Biffle just ran another fastest lap, 56.276 that last time by. When you're this early in the race, you want to stretch the field run out as far as you possibly can. You don't want to pit under caution at all costs and risk putting yourself back in traffic. We saw how hectic that was around the other Fords, the other Roush Fenway Ford specifically in our field pass. Carnage around every corner. Where Greg Biffle's been towards the front of the field, he's kept his car pretty spotless so far. I don't think he's even made any contact with another car or the wall. So he's running himself a clean race right now. And he's definitely got the handling of the race car and the speed to be able to help do so. It's just about tire management and pit strategy to try to keep the track position as much as possible. And obviously, he's led the most laps in the early going of the race. We have had 3 different leaders. Jeff Gordon was able to lead at least 1 lap, as well as Tony Stewart alongside Biffle. The track is 2 miles. Yeah, that would definitely make sense, and I guess it is 350 miles. Just realized the Statue of Liberty is on the left side of this bridge. I don't know how accurate of a scan this is of downtown New York. Like if there's a street that actually goes like this, or a highway that potentially goes like this. This is more of a highway with the overpass and everything. Maybe they just have the exits closed off, obviously, for the sake of the race. Yeah, like that looks like it's a side street. Potential exit. This was definitely up there as one of my favorite road courses, though, on the fantasy tracks, the EA Sports games. It's amazing how light that car gets when you're going downhill. All downforce gets taken out of it, and you have to get pretty hard on the brakes down to about 90 miles an hour or so. Take it right back up through the S's again. No, this wouldn't be a single street. That's why I'm wondering if it's maybe a highway of some sort. Yeah, no street would look like this. There's some weird streets in some weird towns from time to time. Or in cities, but yeah, this isn't really a street. Especially in this heavily populated of an area, I doubt that that is the case. The only thing that would make this feel like and seem like more of a New York street course race is if we were racing taxi cabs rather than stock cars around this 2-mile road course. Yeah, I'm not reading that name in the chat, but thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we'll race cabs and cop cars. Middle of the pack looks like a log jam, I know. That track map's looking pretty wicked in the middle of the pack right now. When we were there not that long ago, we'll space out if we can get the green flag pit stops. It'll be a long ways before lap traffic ever becomes a factor in this race as well. It may not even become a factor, honestly. Just have to wait and see. I am speeding downtown. You're right. Hopefully we don't speed on pit road tonight. Clean Racer, thanks for tuning in. A 1.2 second lead. Pretty much stagnated right between a 1.1 to 1.3 second lead. No major pressure from Tony Stewart in second place so far. The only two winners of the season right now of Greg Biffle and Tony Stewart are the two drivers running 1-2 at the front of the field. And Stewart actually kind of has two wins of his own, much like Biffle, considering Tony Stewart won one of the dual races at Daytona, as well as, of course, winning the Daytona 500, all during speed weeks. Also during speed weeks, I guess, technically, that points race at the Daytona Road Course was won by Biffle, on top of winning at Martinsville 2 nights ago. Quarter tank of gas left for the 16 right now. Yeah, pit road speed 70 miles an hour in every track. I know it's like that in 07. I've never played 08 or 09. So I'm not sure if it's like that in those games as well or not. Guess we'll find out when we get there, unless one of you guys know in the chat. By the way, that last lap was the fastest Greg Biffle has ran all day. 56.1. I wonder if we can get into that 55-second range or not. I doubt it. I don't think I could get much more out of the car than what I did that last lap. And it looks like we have some of the Roush Fenway Fords on their way into the pits. Still ways to go yet in this one. Not even to the 100 lap to go mark yet. Still a little less than 40 minutes into the race, though. So we're pacing pretty well despite the 2 early cautions. what transpired in the first 20 laps of the race. Definitely the longest green flag run we've seen so far. I'm in Eastern time zone. Unless you're talking to somebody else in the chat. Biffle will be having to deal with lap traffic with the cars coming out of the pit lane just up ahead. We've got some cars going a lap down. Biffle's just going to stay out as long as he can here, even if he's going to lose time to cars pitting before him. He's running well for himself right now. He'll continue to lead as many laps as possible. And now Wimmer going a lap down. Almost. Biffle about ran into him. Biffle thought he was going to have him clear. Wimmer still hanging on in that 22, trying to side draft the 16. On the left rear corner panel. Right-handed turn means Biffle's going to be on the bottom that time, and now he clears Wimmer, coming back to the start-finish line. So Edwards is already pit, as well as Kurt Busch for Roush. I think Kenseth and Martin still have to hit pit road yet themselves. More cars pitting that last time by. Well, Davis Racing really ain't competitive at all, Scott Wimmer, yeah. Their brightest days are definitely behind them once Ward Burton left. I think Wimmer might have had a pole or two in real life as well. He had some top 10s every now and then in that car. He was probably more competitive than what the game makes him set out to be, I guess. I was hoping he was going to actually stay up there, potentially compete on speed with these guys as fast of a lap as he ran in qualifying to get the pole, but he has not had any sort of pace. He would be able to dictate that he could actually do that. .281 that last lap. Even on older tires though right now, Greg Biffle's still putting some good laps together. Mark Martin now in the pits. Watch those cars down the bottom of the track trying to get up to speed. Biffle going to get by Sterling Marlin. He closes in pretty quickly on the 11 of Jason Leffler. And he's going to have to sit behind him through the carousel. Blocked by Leffler. Got a little bit of a shot from behind. 78 car going up the track. Biffle stuck on the outside, the 178. Backed the corner up a little too much, and Leffler's looking to get by. Lap 50 for Greg Biffle, your race leader. Widening to the corner that time. Biffle's got a lot of these lap cars on fresh tires around him. Definitely outnumbered there. He's going to have to work with what he has until he pits. These other cars that are a lap down that are a little too far back in the field when they hit pit road, they're hoping this stays green long enough that Biffle pits soon. Probably looking at about lap 56 is when Biffle's going to pit, considering the fact that We had 6 caution laps, so we're probably looking like 50 laps is about what you could go on a full tank. On all green flag laps. Probably about 5 or 6 more that Biffle can go. Definitely some corners that Leffler's pulling away from Biffle on a regular basis. Oh, 178 into the wall. It sounded like... Oh, lack of judgment there. Leffler's going to go down into the wall. Come back around the racetrack. I think he kept it off the wall, but Biffle did get around him. That was not the way Biffle wanted to pass Jason Leffler. I was looking out of the rear view when I saw the 178 in the wall. I thought he was going to come back across the track, and then meanwhile Greg Biffle just door slammed Jason Leffler, and now Leffler's a lap down. He is in the free pass position at the very least, so if we did get a quick yellow. Saw some sparks flying up there. Looked like there was some more contact from cars up ahead. See a couple of them side by side off in the distance. Can't really tell who cars are from extremely far away on this track with how dark it is. This has to be the darkest racetrack on this game. Very dim. Considering the fact it's at night, definitely doesn't make it any better. I think they underprepared. They probably thought the street lights and the city lights were going to be enough, but it wasn't enough. You got to remember, these cars don't have headlights like actual cars. So Biffle not going to go all the way to lap 56. He doesn't want to risk it on field too much, so he's going to go to about lap 54, and then he's going to hit pit road. So Biffle will stay out this time by, and then he'll pit the following time by. Trying to get underneath the 42 of Jamie McMurray. And Biffle is there. Underneath the 42 car. Side by side to turn 1. McMurray trying to hang on to the lead lap. And Biffle's going to be all clear. So Biffle will pit this time by. It's definitely looking like a 3-stop race. Joe Nemechek in the 01. Squeezing Biffle. Biffle trying to stay on this side of the 01 car because he's going to be pitting this time. And Biffle going to be on his way in. Don't want to speed. 70 miles per hour is that pit road speed limit. And Biffle is down. No adjustments. 4 tires and fuel for the 16. First stop of the day. It'll be a reverse style pit stop where they're going to have to actually change the left sides before the right sides. See it at current road courses like Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, and Road America. And you're seeing it right here at the New York City street course. Let's go, Brandon. Thanks for tuning in. So 54 laps is what Biffle went on that opening fuel tank there. If you're just tuning in for the first time, hit that like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you are new and are not yet subscribed to the channel. Having some competitive racing so far tonight. It's been very racy, a fun one at that. Matt Kenseth is going to be the new leader. I don't know that he would have led that last lap. I think Biffle would have technically had the lap led. But Kenseth's out there on the racetrack still. looking to lead this time by, which would mean that would be 5 bonus points then for the 17. He's the last car that has to hit pit road that was at least in front of Biffle. Could be cars behind him that haven't pit yet, but I like to think most of the field has pit. Matt Kenseth really trying to stretch that field window out as far as he can. He stayed out long enough to get 5 bonus points, so I'll give him credit for that. Thinking it's 48 instead of 50. That could be possible. Might not have saved as much under caution as what I would have thought. Tough to tell for sure. Kenseth will stay out of the pits this time by. I don't know, Kenseth's making it seem like it might be more than 50 for him. So it's going to be a 2-stop race to the end yet for Biffle. We do know that. It's going to be interesting on when you decide to hit pit road and maybe try to take advantage of potentially fresher tires. Biffle's about 17.2 seconds off of Kenseth right now. Kenseth in the S's. Sounds like Kenseth's on his way in right now. So Kenseth will make it to lap 57. Biffle went to lap 54 before pitting. So Kenseth went an extra 3 laps on fuel. He's pacing even better. Kenseth going to lead that lap at the line as well. So 3 laps led for Matt Kenseth. Greg Biffle will take the lead next time by. So we are now to lap 58. It'll be interesting to see exactly how big of a lead Biffle's going to have over the new second place driver, which is likely going to be Tony Stewart once again, I'd have to assume. Whoever it is, it's a 3.6 second lead now for Biffle after cycling through pit stops for the first time in the race. Kenseth's still on pit road, trying to maybe get his way up to speed, potentially as well. Definitely a good, clean, solid race going for Biffle. Looking to keep it that way. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the second and final time in this race today for about the next 16 laps or so. As Biffle continues to enjoy the clean air. Definitely not anything to complain about on this 16 car right now. He's trying to go for 3 wins in a row. Still a long ways before any potential lap traffic would come about for Biffle as well. What's the NASCAR equivalent of a basketball triple-double? That's a good question. I'd have to think about that one for a little bit, honestly. It's an interesting outside-the-box question. I'm going to guess that's going to mean a stage win, most laps led, race win. That would be a triple-double in NASCAR. Winning a stage, leading the most laps, and winning the race. Or you could even say winning both stages. If you really want to make it extremely challenging. Before stage racing, I have no clue what it would have been. I think the Triple Crown would definitely be the most wins, most top 5s, and most top 10s in a season than any other driver. That's tough for one driver to lead all those categories. Kind of curious as to who has been able to do that. Because it's not always the most consistent driver, even in the season-long points formats. I mean, you can have the most top 10s, but not as many top 5s as, like, second or third place in points. And you definitely, you know, wouldn't see the driver who's won the most races win the championship every single year. So I obviously know that that hasn't happened as well. Quadruple double, winning the pole, leading the most laps, winning both stages, winning the race, yes. I'd have to agree with you on that one. I don't know why I keep yawning so much. I might have to go get a water here before long. Maybe I'm just getting dehydrated. I mean, I probably am a little tired, but usually not this tired during the stream. Like, it's weird. It's like, mentally, I don't feel tired at all. I feel pretty sharp still. But I just keep yawning a lot. I had a ham and cheese sandwich before. This is probably slowing me down. I had 2 of them, actually. A grilled ham and cheese sandwich. Not just any ham and cheese sandwich. It was a grilled ham and cheese. On toast. Must be cold there. Yes, I live in Northwest Ohio. I want to say it was 38 degrees this morning when I went into work. It got up to 62, but it's super windy out. Well, it looks like the wind's died down quite a bit now. We had winds of like 25 miles an hour today. It was a really windy day. I golfed yesterday. It wasn't as windy when I first went out to golf. I went in the morning because I knew the wind was going to pick up. It was like 12 miles an hour at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And then by the end of the round, it was like up to about what it was earlier. It was pretty hard. I started off so good. That wind was catching up to me. I went up like 2 clubs a lot, and I would still be short. I just couldn't figure it out. I was hitting the ball well. It was definitely the wind that cost my game yesterday. I'm glad I've been hitting the ball really well the last like few weeks, but kind of stinks towards the end of the season now. Not just Ohio, it's Northwest Ohio. I'm like only 40, 45 minutes south of Lake Erie, so. You have the windy days like today where it comes in off the lake. It gets kind of cold. It felt cooler than 62 degrees. You can have a windy 62-degree day when it's blowing from the south. It does not feel that cold, but when it's blowing in off the lake, it actually feels kind of cold. It feels like it's in the 50s. I think the feel-like temperature was like 54, 55 today, so it wasn't... It was definitely a cooler feel outside, even though the sun was out. It was kind of deceiving. You'd look out the window, it looked warmer than what it actually was, and then you walk outside, it's like, okay, never mind. I mean, it wasn't, like, chilly by any means. I'm usually not one that gets cold easily. It's worth noting Greg Biffle just just ran his fastest lap of the race that last time. It was a 56.022. An extremely quick lap from the Biff. We might see lap times in the 55-second lap barrier if he got that close. We still have over 100 laps to go to try to get it, and he's obviously still in clean air. And on somewhat relatively fresher tires, he's only ran about 13 laps on them during this run. San Antonio, it's definitely not that cold there, then. I'd love to live somewhere where I could golf year-round. I know North Carolina has cooler winters, but I'd have more golfing there than what I have here. I could literally only play like 6 months out of the year. Because they're closed because it's too cold the other parts of the year. April to October, and that's about it. You're lucky, maybe you get a day here or there in November that it hits 60, and you're lucky that it actually does, but most of the time it's in the low 40s. Mid-30s to low 40s. But it's Ohio, the weather changes. We always say the weather's bipolar here. Literally, we had one day it was 90 degrees outside, and then it was 60 the next. Like a couple weeks ago. I got back from Talladega, and it was 90 degrees. The first 2 days I got back, and then the third day I was back, it was 60. That's what our weather's like when we're changing seasons. It's almost like we don't have a fall or a spring. It just goes from summer to winter that instantly. Well, Greg Biffle just ran his fastest lap once again, and that last lap was in the 55-second lap barrier. It was a 55.976, I believe. That's low. That's a fast time. Chicago Bears will always be trash. Thanks for tuning in. That was a pretty ugly game to watch last night. I watched most of it. I didn't watch any of the Thursday night game the week before. I'd imagine it probably looked the same. I will say, though, Carson Wentz making that block on, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the one of the star linebackers for the Bears. They were talking about him all night. I don't know why I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I mean, he flattened him out. Great Lakes in the weather. I mean, they're beautiful in the summertime. They're just cause the weather to be bipolar quite a bit. I mean, our summer weather's pretty consistent, I'd say. Even though the winter weather's pretty consistent in the sense that, like, if it's, you know, we get into the winter, you're lucky to have a day above 20 in January and February. That's considered a heat wave. If you're new to the channel, you'll see me wearing a stocking hat a lot in the wintertime. Done it the last couple of years. 55.83, my goodness. If we're just getting quicker and quicker. Ran a 55.978. He is just really putting together some great laps. He's not pulling away much, though, running his fastest times of the race. I think overall the track and the grip is just added. Got to consider the fact it was likely a green racetrack coming in. With being a new course. and the rubber is being laid down lap after lap after lap. This entire race is in the night. There's no transition from day to night. Not like it's getting cooler and adding grip. Roquan Smith, yeah, thanks. That's who it was. That was the highlight of the game. I about got up out of my seat when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, I've never seen a quarterback have that good of a block before. Carson Wentz earned my respect. I don't care how much crap he gets for not being as good as he used to be and how injury prone he is. Him doing that, as injury prone as he is, putting his body on the line to throw a block in which they almost scored a touchdown on, that was pretty cool. Greg Biffle, Rocket Man. Yeah, we're stealing Ryan Newman's nickname tonight. And we qualified on the front row too, so it's fitting. I still don't know how I didn't get the pole, honestly. I didn't run practice. I just kind of put a lot of downforce into it, lower air pressure. Just wanted grip to be able to move this car where I wanted to, and it's worked out, especially in the clean air. We had that first field pass earlier in the race. I'd say that this car definitely has more grip than the other 4 Roush Fenway Fords in the field. Well, they were all back in traffic, though, too. Biffle's had almost nothing but clean air this entire race. 55.896 that last lap, another 55.8. I thought 55.2 was fast earlier. We're like 0.4 of a second quicker now than we were earlier in the race. I don't know how Scott Wimmer qualified on the pole either. He had me by like 0.03 of a second. Like, it wasn't like it was like down to the wire within a couple thousandths of a second. Like, he had me by about 0.03. I think he had like a 52.2 something. Like a 2.2, and he had a 52.19. Low 1.9 or a high 1.8. Or not 52, I meant 56, not 52. Probably getting pretty close to being about halfway on fuel again. Have to imagine. Pennsylvania during any day, December, January, February. Hit 50 or warmer feels good, yeah. I will say it does feel like, at least where I live, the weather and the climate, I've noticed like year after year after year, it feels like our winters last like more into April than what they used to when I was younger. And they kind of bleed into like April all the way to like the middle to end of April before it consistently gets to like 50 degrees day after day after day. But then in the fall, I've noticed it feels like it takes until about middle of November before it like cools down below 50 consistently. I remember before when I was younger that it wasn't uncommon to see like snow on the ground consistently in the early November part of the month, and now we're lucky to get snow by Thanksgiving now. But then it's been snowing the last few years. Like one of our biggest snowstorms 2 years ago, we had like 8 inches in the middle of April. Like, it was weird. Never had that when I was younger, but now it like very rarely snows in November anymore. I was about to just blame it on something stupid like daylight savings or something. Well, we keep switching the hours on the clock and it's messing the polar ice caps. Trying to think of what, like, some random nonsensical thing somebody would say. We have 100 laps to go. That last time by at the start-finish line. Still a little shy of the halfway mark. This is a little bit longer of a race than what I thought it was going to be. I think it feels longer than what it actually has because it's a road course and it's a lot of laps. But I mean, when we look at it at face value, the stream started about an hour 15 minutes ago. So we're not really that far into it considering it is a cup race. I mean, these things are normally 2.5 to 3 hours when we stream. I can definitely see this race getting done about 8:30, 9 o'clock like normal. New Year's 80 degree. Yeah, I'll never see that unless I'm in a different state. That's why it's nice when I went to Daytona this year and it was like mid-70s almost all week. I think the first day I got there was like 60-something, but every other day after that it was like a high of 70s. And I think the day of the truck race it got up to like 80 during the day. Because I remember it was a warmer night too. It was like in the 70s during the race at night. Felt nice out. I had shorts and a t-shirt, and you can tell a lot of the locals around me were not wearing that. They weren't from where I was at. I came out of like consistently below 20 degree weather to that felt warm. And I got extremely sunburnt. No surprise, because I don't see much sun that time of the year here. I don't go to a tan bed either. I need to. I don't need to, but it just sounds kind of pathetic actually now that I think about it, but I should, just so that way when I do go to warmer climate racetracks in the spring that I don't have an issue with burning. Doesn't matter how much sunscreen I wear. Maybe it's something with like the red beard. Makes me part ginger. That's why I burn as easily as I do. Summer was hot and humid. I mean, I have the humid days here in the summer. My humid days probably don't feel like anything humid to you guys though down south. Then when I go down south in the summertime, feels like I'm suffocating. I remember how hot Nashville was for the Cup race last year. Like in the mid-90s. It was sweltering. It's like one of the times I sweated the most at a NASCAR race in my life. Usually even on a hot day I feel fine, but that was actually pretty warm. That was definitely a warm day. I don't know why NASCAR decided to make that an early afternoon race. Start at like 2 o'clock local time, late June, in Nashville, Tennessee. This year they made it a little bit later. I think the race started like 2 or 3 hours later. Isn't as bad. Should just make it a night race. Annual humidity is 75%. It's definitely warm. A little loose into turn 1 that time. Still managing this 3.7 second lead. Lap 81 currently. Still 2 pit stops out from the end of the race. I do have tonight's trivia question. It might be a question I've asked before on the channel, but I'll ask it again because it's definitely been a while. Historical and geographical NASCAR trivia question today coming in a couple laps when we get to the halfway mark. Still had a 56-1 that last lap. Gonna take our second field pass of the race. This time by the start-finish line. We'll go back to Matt Kenseth in the 17 car first. He was the last to hit pit road, so he's probably paced a little better on field than maybe some of the other Roush cars. Pretty much everybody else in the field. In all reality, he's in 11th place. Alright, lap 83. 4 laps of driver here. Green flag laps. It's been over 60 laps since the last caution. Right around lap 20 when Jeff Gordon spun off the front bumper of Carl Edwards. That was when they were battling for third. Yeah, Sunday nights just work better for TV rating purposes. But Saturday nights work better for the locals that actually... or just people that even travel to the racetrack. That was really nice when I went to Bristol last year. Just having that extra day to travel back home. I was in no rush. Didn't have to be into work till Tuesday, and the race was over on a Saturday night. It stunk with the Coke 600 when I had to go back on Monday, the night after the race a couple years ago, the 2021, and then had to be back into work on Tuesday, and the race wasn't even over till like about 10 o'clock on that Sunday night. Had to be out early the next morning. Late race caution, please. I think we'll see some at some point in time. I don't think we're going to go green nearly 150 laps at this racetrack. I wouldn't doubt that we're going to see a couple more cautions. We've only seen 2 so far. Nice change of pace from having caution after caution after caution. The last 3 races I've done on the channel, doesn't matter what the game is. They've all been in the Cup Series, though. Kenseth battling for 10th place right now with Elliott Sadler. Yes, I did win. Yeah, we have back-to-back wins in NASCAR 22 and in this NASCAR 6 Cup season. Riding a bit of a hot streak right now. I mean, it was... It had moments of good. The running order was so randomized, though, we were never really ever racing for position, except for the start of Stage 3. The cars that were still on the lead lap all restarted towards the front of the field, so that was kind of fun racing for about 20 laps or so. But then when we got into, the AI got into pit stops, and then the caution came out shortly thereafter, trapping them a lap or 2 down. Well, trapped them about 2 laps down. the rest of the race. It was pretty much a gimme win from there. Just had to make sure I didn't wreck those last 80 laps or so. Had a couple lap lead. There were a lot of cautions. So it definitely wasn't easy to survive those last 80 laps, but we did survive. Halfway on field for Kenseth at lap 87. I assume he's probably going to be the last car to pit the second time around as well. Might as well. You don't want to be the last to pit on your last pit stop. You want to be one of the first ones to pit, especially if you know you're not going to be at risk of going a lap down. If you're one of the leaders. Looks like Carl Edwards is going to be on his way into the pits this time by. I'll have to swap to either Mark Martin or Kurt Busch this time by at the start-finish line. And Kurt Busch is in, so it looks like we'll be switching to Mark Martin in the 6. Martin still got quite a bit of fuel in his car yet. He's in 15th. He'll cycle past a couple cars that are in the pits. Greg Biffle's still out in front. He's led the most laps so far today. Edwards now has exited pit road. Kurt Busch about to do the same. Bit of a squeeze from Casey Mears. Mark Martin still underneath the 41. It looked like Mears was trying to get anywhere close to trying to pit that time, so Martin makes the clean pass on him. That final corner, hops back in the draft of Rusty Walls, so now dive bombing to the inside in turn 1. Looking to make a pass on Rusty. Battle for 9th. Mark was back outside the top 35 at one point. I think he qualified towards the tail end of the field, so him getting his way up to 8th place right now, he's having a good run going for him. Kenny Schrader got to cycle out in line right behind the 6 after he has left pit road. It's on fresher tires, but he is a lap down. Not battling Mark for position. Martin's about a half a track behind the leader, Biffle. Biffle's still staying out of the pits. Those races you can't really commentate on. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying not to talk about the same thing over and over and over again. While this is going on, let's go to the Dawsonville pool room for ourselves a takeaway from the action, or the lack thereof, on the racetrack. Send it over to Rutledge Wood. Wonder what Rutledge Wood was doing in 2005. I don't think he worked for Speed Channel yet. Wow, what a lap by Martin. 55.811 for Mark Martin that last lap. I think we're going to see a 55.7 at some point in time today as well. The way things are going right now. That was insane. Green will side swipe. He is not giving Martin a lot of room right now. And now he's blocking him all the way to the apron. What's Jeff Green doing? Mark Martin just wants to make a pass on Jeff. And he does. Not even battling for position through that. We'll transfer over to Kurt Busch in the 97. He's already made his green flag pit stop. He's currently in 15th. He's still on the lead lap, which is good. In case a caution is to potentially come out. Won't have to worry about going a lap down. That's the only fun thing you could really do in a situation like this where the field's so spread apart, is just constantly look at the lap times, lap after lap after lap, and see if we're anywhere close to setting the fastest lap of the race. Gives us a talking point. At least we know with this game, NASCAR 22, we don't really... I mean, you could. It doesn't, like, flash like it does color code. So you have to... It's a little harder to pay attention. That kind of stuff. Trying to arc this corner off on Bobby Labonte. All the way down to the apron. Labonte with a little better straightaway speed, but side by side, heading to turn one with Kurt Busch on the bottom and Bobby Labonte up high. Battle for 11th on the racetrack right now. Kurt not clear yet. Labonte hanging on there, side drafting Kurt Busch. And now, well, Kurt didn't throw a block at least. He's still staying on the bottom. Into the carousel. And now he's going to be able to clear Labonte off the exit of that corner. Mark Martin on his way into the pits. So move Kurt Busch back inside the top 10 at least. Greg Biffle still out there on the racetrack. Imagine he'll probably take it beyond lap 50 before he pits. I think you get down to 40 laps to go. You know you can definitely make it on field from there. I think if you're Greg Biffle, you pit. There's one car that's up in smoke on pit road right now. Hopefully it's not Mark Martin because he was having a good day. Saw a car in heavy smoke in the pits. It's so dark though you can't even tell who anybody is just in front of you some of the time, let alone further away to the right in the pits when you go down the main straightaway. NASCAR Cup Series 2311 Racing, thanks for tuning in. When I switch cars, it looks like I just reversed the race and start over. Martin on his way out of the pit, so it wasn't Martin who blew an engine, luckily. I was a little scared there for a moment. I thought he was the one that potentially blew an engine. That was not the case. So he remains in the race. Busch about 49 seconds off race leader Greg Biffle in 8th, but again, Biffle has not hit pit road for his second stop yet. If you're just tuning in, it's a 3-stop race tonight. We're just past the halfway mark. time for tonight's trivia question on the channel. A little past halfway, but we'll still give it out right now. Trivia question is, who was the last NASCAR Cup Series champion from the state of New York? I feel like somebody's going to get this. I feel like this is a question I might have asked before, but needless to say, that is tonight's trivia question. With this being a New York City street course race, who was the last NASCAR Cup Series champion who was born and raised in the state of New York? Not New York City necessarily, but from the state of New York. We'll swap to Carl Edwards this time by, and then after 4 laps there, we'll go back to Greg Biffle for the rest of the race. I'll give you guys until the end of lap 100 to try to answer tonight's trivia question. And I'll give you a hint at the end of lap 99 for that final lap. It is not Kurt Busch. He's from Vegas. Both the Busch brothers are from Vegas. We'll swap to Edwards. Side by side right now with Tony Stewart. Likely for position, assuming Stewart is already pitted. Battle for third on the racetrack right now. Between the 99 and the 20, Edwards is clear. Got some lap cars in front of him. I'm not sure who's potentially in second. It's not Truex. Nope, Truex is from New Jersey. Bill Rexford is not the answer. I don't know where he's from. I know he's not the most recent, if he is from New York. It's not Rex White either. Guys, you guys are reaching for this trivia question. Contact with the 137 from Carl Edwards. More contact, and Edwards about gets turned in the S's. Held onto his race car. Trying to pull away from Tony Stewart. It's kind of hard when you got a lap car about turning you. Making repetitive contact. Lap 100 right now. I'm going to pause it real quick. I want to quickly check just to make sure I'm going to have the question correct for you guys. If not, I'll ask you guys a different one. I'm starting to second guess myself on the potential answer. Yeah, I guess, well, that'll be the hint then. My hint will be changing the question entirely. And you'll kind of get a hint with this changing of the question. The last, the changing of the question, who's the last driver in the NASCAR Cups? Well, who's the last driver to win a Daytona 500 from the state of New York? We'll do that instead because off the top of my head, the driver I was thinking of is not a NASCAR champion. So that's your hint, is that the driver to the answer of this question is not a NASCAR champion, but who was the last Daytona 500 winner from the state of New York? Yeah, Labonte's from Texas, both of them. It's not Logano, he's New England. It's not Larson, he's from California. And Daytona 500 winner, sorry guys. It's like Greg Biffle, by the way, is on pit road right now. Carl Edwards getting by lapper Shane Neal. So one more lap with Edwards, and then we'll switch back to Biffle the rest of the race again. Contact between Shane Meal and Carl Edwards. Big wheel hop from Edwards after he hit the wall. Tony Stewart going to blow back by him. And Stewart's into second. Edwards back to third, and again, Biffle in the lead. Kenseth pitted a little sooner than the last time, as he's actually on pit road right now and just leaving. It is not Trevor Bayne. He is from Tennessee. Steve Park never won a title. He finished third in points? I don't remember that. I didn't know he ever had that high of a points finish. It's actually impressive, considering he only won, what, like 2 cup races in his career? We'll go back to Greg Biffle the rest of this race now, as he continues to lead. He has dominated the day. It is a one-stop race to the finish, as he has already made his second out of 3 stops. Just left pit lane a couple laps ago. Sterling Marlin is also from Tennessee. It is not Derek Cope. Unless Cope is from New York, then maybe it is. I really should Google search this. I feel like he's not from New York. Maybe he is. I do see Jeff Bodine in the chat. That's the one I was thinking of. Okay, I do see Jeff Bodine. I think that is the correct answer. This is why I need to fact check myself before I just start asking you guys trivia questions. I have to keep pausing it. I had the question, I just didn't have the answer for you guys. Then I had to change the question and realize that my answer wasn't correct originally. Alright, where's Derek Cope from? No, he's from California, I think, now that I'm thinking about it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think he's from... Yeah, he's from San Diego. Yeah, Jeff Bodine is the answer. I was right. Derek Cope kind of scared me because I was like, oh, maybe he is from New York. I didn't think about Derek Cope. He's from San Diego. I thought he was from California. I didn't know he's from San Diego, though. Yeah, Tom Bodine won multiple Truck Series championships, actually. Almost won a couple Busch Series titles, too. He got close in the mid-2000s. Early to mid-2000s. Looked like he was going to win it the one year. I think it was 2003, but he ended up not being able to finish the season. And then he had a shot going into the final race in 04, I believe. Or maybe it was the other way around, seasons-wise. Contact with the 10 of Scott Riggs. Biffle going to get by him. 7.5 second lead for Greg Biffle right now on the New York City street course. Down to just 72 laps to go. Biffle has just clinched the most laps led. It is the 4th race of the season, and in all 4 races, Biffle has led the most laps. 10 bonus points once again, and he's still not the points leader. All because of that 42nd place finish in the Daytona 500. Blowing an engine while leading. Not because of a wreck either, he just blew a motor while leading. I want to talk about a heartbreak with me in Daytona. Even when things are out of my control. Like an engine detonation out of nowhere. I can't seem to win at Daytona on this. Not only this game, just the EA games in general. I'm 0 for... I forget how many races I do every time I say this. Like 12 or 13? Probably 13 now. I'll figure it out before we go back to Daytona again. Remember Cope winning? I knew he was a Daytona 500 champion. I just kind of, for whatever reason, it slipped my mind as to where he was from. I thought I remember he was from California. Don't ask me how I knew that, but I knew that. Truex was the closest. He is from New Jersey. Well, Logano's from Connecticut, by the way, for anybody out there wondering. Middletown, Connecticut. So I know somebody did mention that he was from New England. And that was correct. Oh, Busch Series for Park. Okay, I was going to say. I don't remember finishing third standings in the Cup Series. Yeah, 0 for 13 at Daytona. I was 0 for 12, but I blew an engine in the last one. And even when I tried to win it with Mark Martin there, after I blew an engine with the driver swap, I still couldn't win it. I wouldn't have actually counted it if I did win, but we were in contention with him until the very end. Biffle continuously growing his lead. Almost 8.5 seconds ahead of Tony Stewart in second. Park had a lot of horrific accidents. Surprised it took as many of them as it did, especially in that day and age. Yeah, that's true. Won the very first race following the death of Dale Sr. back in 2001 at Rockingham. I feel like that's a historic moment that is forgotten. Long forgotten. Everybody remembers Kevin Harvick beating Jeff Gordon by a nose, and Dale Jr. winning the Pepsi 400 later that year at Daytona. I feel like a lot of people tend to forget that Steve Park for DEI actually won the very following week after the Daytona 500. I will say, with this race having as much green flag racing as it has since that most recent caution, which wasn't even that recent ago. About a 90-lap green flag run going on right now, but it's maintaining a pace in which Biffle feels comfortable, obviously, continuously pulling away. And he feels he can definitely win this race. I don't even have a PS1 either. I'd have to try to find a way to find one. I know my dad had one when he was younger. I feel like I remember him and my mom always playing Mario Kart on it when I was really, really young. Or not Mario Kart, but just like Mario, whatever Super Mario Bros. Game that they were playing. I can remember that off of that, but I don't remember anything else. Only remembered the PS2 when I was really, really young. Had an original Xbox there for a little bit too. I've had a lot of game consoles growing up. I was definitely too young to play on that though. I would have only been a couple years old. Seen an actual PS1 from all once. How much were they selling it for? I feel like they'd probably sell it for a bunch. I bought this PS2 off Amazon refurbished. I bought it like 3 years ago almost, and well, about 2 years ago actually. Bought it about 2 years ago, but it still works fine. I mean, I have no issues with it. It only cost me a couple hundred dollars. So if you're ever, wondering or miss playing some old NASCAR games or old games in general off PS2, just go on Amazon, buy a refurbished one. I mean, it's way cheaper than the newer consoles. You would think just with it being almost like an antique or like just a classic console that it'd be more expensive than that, but it wasn't. And on my accounts, it works fine for me. Able to stream off it. As I say that, I'm gonna go to turn it on the next time, and it's gonna like freeze or something. Then we're gonna have to postpone the season tomorrow night when I try to run the doubleheader. I've taken it on the road with me quite a few times too. Actually, when I went to Talladega, I didn't stream when I was out because I didn't have time for it, but the little time I had in the morning, like after I'd go to the lobby and eat breakfast, I played a couple games of NCAA 05. Pretty much every day I was gone. So one day I didn't have a tee time till like 1:24 in the afternoon at the golf course I was playing at, so I was just killing some time. It was a Friday before the Xfinity race, or Truck and Xfinity race day. $100 for the PS1, yeah, see that? I mean, the games themselves, I will say it's a little risky buying like the pre-owned games, because I did that for, I think it was SmackDown versus Raw, and the disc was like extremely scratched. It wouldn't even run. So I ended up returning it and just getting a new one. And depending on what game it is going to cost you about 50 to 60 bucks for most of them, which is almost like buying a new game. A somewhat newer game, but the console itself, though, relatively cheap, all things considered. I remember when I first started playing the classic games on the channel, when I had the idea to go out and buy a PS2 and start doing these series. The NASCAR Thunder 04, the NASCAR 05, it was definitely a trip. And every single time, when we first hopped into 06, about halfway through the season, I just had a nostalgia trip all the way through it. Kind of somewhat right now with running this racetrack again, because it's been a long time. Feel like a kid again. No, it's not getting ripped off whatsoever. I don't think so. I mean, I look at it as like it being like an older car that is maintained well, and those things cost a lot of money. That's kind of the way I look at like these older consoles, and that's why I'm actually kind of surprised that they run as well as they have. I wouldn't get it pre-owned though, because I feel like you might have issues with it, and if you outrun your warranty, then you're just going to end up having to get a new one anyway. This will last you a little longer. As long as you take care of it, of course. Oh, contact with Wimmer. He's in the wall. That's going to be a caution. And the pole sitter's around for our third caution of the night after a green flag run of nearly 100 laps. Hard into the wall, driver's side door first. He stayed up out of the way. There was really no other cars around those two. There was one directly underneath of Biffle and Wimmer. Got through without any caution. That's been the action portion of the racetrack, it seems like, tonight. Both entering and exiting the S's. Going to be outside the pit window to make it on fuel to the end of the race. So we're going to continue to stay on the track here. That's an unfortunate caution for Greg Biffle, because it's going to stack the field right back up again. All the lap cars to the inside of the lead lap cars as well. I'm not sure if Wimmer actually went a lap down prior to that wreck. He might have been scored on the lead lap, because I don't see him anywhere, unless he DNF'd, which is also possible. Green flag is back in the air. Down to 66 laps to go, and Biffle trying to hold on to the lead with the lap traffic around him. Blocking Tony Stewart. Will contact with Scott Wimmer. 3 wide middle as Greg Biffle trying to hold on to the lead. Carl Edwards is thinking about trying to take it to the inside of Biffle now as well. This is a very, very tight, narrow area of the racetrack to have all this racing going on. Biffle to the outside, way wide. And Carl Edwards will take his first lead of the race. 3 wide still in the S's. Contact with Tony Stewart. Back to third. Mike Bliss making contact. I think he's got a spot. They're 4 wide further back. 3 wide goes Biffle down to the apron to slide back up past the 0 of Mike Bliss. And Biffle back into P2 as his teammate Carl Edwards leads for the first time tonight after the restart. They were fanned out so much there. Definitely the wildest restart of the night. I don't know where Mike Bliss came from, but he's in third, and he's looking for a win on a road course. We have Mike Bliss and Carl Edwards both looking for their first career wins tonight. Biffle with the charge on Edwards. Gonna get underneath his teammate, side by side. Briefly at least, Edwards hanging on. Biffle trying to undercut him. Biffle going low. Door to door off the final corner for the lead. Between the Roush teammates. Edwards leads that lap again. Biffle's already clinched the most laps led, so he's not too worried about laps led right now. And Edwards just got his 5 bonus points, so not as worried about it either. His teammates trying to race each other cleanly. They've been side by side for a few corners in a row now. Edwards all the way up at the top. Biffle down low on the bottom. Biffle gonna slide up. He's not clear yet, though. Edwards is hanging in there. And now Biffle's clear. See if the 16 can start to pull away again. Well, maybe not. Caution's out again. Our 4th time of the race, and it looked like it was in that same area of the track where we've seen all the other cautions. Oh, man. Jeff Burton's around. What happened back there? Jeff Burton and Brian Vickers making contact. We just spawned into the replay where Burt was already spinning. And the 25 car ended up getting a piece of contact from it, so caution. One caution breeds another, and we've had 4 now today, still outside the pit window to make it to the end yet. I'm not pitting until we get to less than 50 laps to go. At the very least, green flag back in the air again, and we're down to 50 laps to go in the restart. So Right after Biffle got back to the lead, he's going to have to try to survive another restart. All these lap cars on the bottom just make it so difficult. 3 wide right in front of him with all lap cars. There's nowhere for Biffle to go. He's going to get boxed in again, and the bottom is open, and Carl Edwards is trying to take the lead. He's in the middle. John Andretti's on the bottom, but he's also a lap down. We're about to have calamity again here, and it is not very pretty. 4 wide into the corner. Hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen. They are not going to funnel well in the S's. They funneled better than I thought they would. Oh, Edwards getting contact from Riggs. Biffle getting into Riggs as well. Edwards going to lead the lap. Look at Mike Bliss on the bottom. Biffle to the outside of the 0. The 24 of Gordon's in the mix. Three wide for second between Gordon, Bliss, Biffle. Biffle going wide. Way wide. Oh, he's got a lift. He had no grip up there. Greg Biffle cannot get down to the bottom. Kurt Busch. Tony Stewart are there now. Biffle restarted in the lead. Gordon is out there battling with Edwards. Gordon is down towards the apron. Big block by Biffle on the 20 of Stewart. Biffle going extremely low. Trying to get around his teammate Kurt Busch. Biffle back to P4. Right back in line again, but he's going to protect the bottom into turn 1. Halfway on fuel. Four cautions in today's race, 2 of them in recent laps. And still 1 pit stop to the end for the entire field. Biffle to the outside of Jimmy Spencer in the 50. Spencer down low, a little contact with Biffle. Biffle gonna hold clear. Spencer getting up into Stewart now. Stacking up back there. Carl Edwards battles back in front of Jeff Gordon, and Gordon's actually back to 3rd. Bliss is up to P2. Gordon trying to cross Bliss over into turn 1. Gordon down to the bottom. Bliss up high. And they're going to be side by side. John Andretti in the free pass position in the 14 car right now. Biffle gets by him. We may have a 4-car battle for the lead very shortly. That was definitely one of the more ugly rivalries in NASCAR, I'd say. Ugly as far as dangerous. Kurt Busch and Jimmy Spencer. Chatter, the tires down on the bottom, made a little bit of contact with Gordon off the exit of that final corner. Gordon hanging on in front of Biffle. Biffle got to go to the outside, can't get a run there. Mike Bliss still trying to take his first lead of the race right now. He's so close. That car at the clean air is going to be the hardest to pass. And that's where Carl Edwards is at right now. 45 laps to go this time by. Said the pit window is probably open to the end of the race. Nobody has pitted yet. Contact between Gordon and Biffle. Remember, Gordon got turned earlier in the race trying to block Carl Edwards for 3rd at the time. Now Gordon's trying to block Biffle for 3rd. Gordon's got to be careful. Biffle to the outside of the 24. Biffle can't get around him. These two are battling. They're starting to lose the top 2. Great dive by Biffle. Gets underneath the 24. Gordon beats him through the shifts, though. Thought that was going to be the time Biffle was going to get around him, and he still couldn't do it. Mike Bliss is slowly losing pace from Carl Edwards. As long as the 24 and the 16 battle behind him, though, he should hang on to second. Gordon gets a shot from behind by Biffle. Gordon goes wide. That wasn't much of a block by the 24. That was just Biffle moving him out of the way and getting up to third. Sometimes you just gotta be a little more aggressive. Yeah, Edwards and Keselowski was pretty, I think you were talking about Atlanta, not Charlotte, but yeah, that was pretty ugly feud too. That crash at Gateway also was pretty bad. Keselowski was in and got pinballed around there coming to the checker. Of course, obviously at Dega, they're all pretty much started. Edwards gonna pit from the lead. Bliss trying to get a lap let in, but Biffle's not gonna let him, and Biffle's gonna door slam Mike Bliss to take the lead at the line. Bliss looking for some bonus points. He's going to challenge back to the outside of the 16, but he's not going to be able to get him in turn 1. Edwards has just pitted from the lead. I think if you're Greg Biffle, you have to consider pitting, that window being open to the end of the race in case we do get yet another caution late in this race. He's not going to lose too much track position because it has been difficult to pass all day today. Battle test of this race car. Biffle will pit this time by. It'll be the final stop. He is coming in. 70 miles per hour is the pit road speed limit. Going to try to get as much as he can before getting to the commitment line. It'll be 4 tires and fuel for Greg Biffle. No adjustments. Third and final stop of the day for the Biff. Now, where's Edwards and where's Biffle going to be once Biffle gets up to speed in this 16 car? There goes Edwards. Well, that's going to cost Biffle a little bit of time. So Edwards is going to cycle out in front of Biffle, pitting 1 lap sooner. Definitely helped the 99. Mike Bliss is now in the lead for the first time today. We have to wait to see where the 0 and the 24 are going to cycle, because the longer they stay out, less likely they are of cycling in front of Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle. Unless the 99 and the 16 really get to battling each other on these fresher tires. And they're also at risk if a caution comes out. Everybody that's already pitted that's still on the lead lap, with that caution coming out pretty recently, pretty much anybody that restarted in the lead lap would definitely be there still. And it sounds like some of the other leaders are going to be on their way in this time by as well. Be down to 40 laps to go at the start-finish line. Bliss stays out that time. He'll continue to lead. Biffle's about 34.1 seconds behind Bliss and closing on the fresher tires. Biffle definitely running down the 99. 5.845 that last lap for the Biff. There's Gordon coming out of the pits. Edwards right there with him. But Gordon is not going to quite cycle out in front of Edwards and Biffle. They'll both get in front of him. Kurt Busch on his way into the pits right now, so Gordon trying to get up to speed behind the 16 and the 99. Definitely stayed out a little too long. He's already got bonus points, so I'm not sure exactly why he did that. And now it's Biffle and Edwards battling side by side for the eventual lead. Biffle with the crossover. They're shooting out of their pit boxes down below. Biffle trying to back turn one up. He's not going to enter deep. He's going to try to beat Edwards back to the throttle. He did, and now he's got to run on the 99. Heading for the carousel. Biffle down low. Edwards up high. Biffle overdrove the corner. That's a costly mistake from the Biff. Side by side between the two Roush Fenway teammates into the S's for the lead. Biffle's got him and he's out in front. Biffle clear. It's for 15th right now, but the top 14 cars still have to hit pit road. The longer Mike Bliss stays out, the further back he's probably going to cycle through pit stops. The best timing thing that could happen for those guys that are still on the track is that a caution comes out while they're on pit road. Then they would actually cycle back to the lead, but they have to be in the pits when that happens. And it's got to be in the pits before the leaders come back around to pass them for positions. There are a few cars on pit road as we speak. Bliss still staying out on the track, leading more laps. It's all for naught at this point, though. Really risking it. Be a brilliant strategy, though, because he'd actually have fresher tires than everybody else and the lead if a caution came out while he was actually on pit road. Laps are definitely winding down. Yeah, Boris said versus Greg Biffle, that was best for TV. For sure. Mike Bliss is on pit road right now, by the way. Tony Stewart to the lead. We'll see where Bliss will cycle. Biffle quickly pulling away from the 99. There's Bliss down at the bottom of the track. He is not off of pit road quite yet. Biffle easily going to cycle around him. I think Edwards will also. Bliss may get out in front of Jeff Gordon. He was ahead of him before he pitted as well. So Bliss will be in third, it appears, if not fourth, if Gordon did get around him, as Bliss is likely about up to speed by now. Yeah, he's such a scaredy cat. He wouldn't even fight me like a real man. That was a classic. I was actually listening to the Dale Jr. download a couple weeks ago when Greg Biffle was on there, and they were talking about that instance between that. And he was like, why would you try to pick a fight with Boris Said? He's like, he was talking about his size advantage. Dale was talking about Boris Said's size advantage because he's a pretty big dude. He's just like, oh, that's why I hit him when he was still in the car. That's what Biffle said. He's like, I wasn't letting him get out of the car. Like, I ran away before he had a chance to get out of the car. It's probably exactly what Clint Boyer was thinking when he went up punching Ryan Newman in the All-Star race a few years ago. Probably like, well, if I'm going to hit him with being upset, I'm going to make sure he's still in his car, because he gets out of the car, he's going to kill me. Matt Kenseth's still on the racetrack. He is the only driver that still has to pit. He's probably just going to stay out as long as he possibly can at this point, which is probably going to be to around lap 150. He has stayed out longer than anybody else through the first 2 pit stops of the race. Likely going to be the same during this final stop. Nobody has pitted under any of the 4 cautions today. Every pit stop from every driver, all 3 of them have been under green flag conditions so far. Kenseth's playing a risky game the longer he stays out because there's so many cars still in the lead lap that are going to be out in front of him. Yeah, he's going to have fresher tires, but it's been very difficult to pass. There's not going to be many laps left for him to try to fight back inside the top 10 where he has been most of the second half of the race. At least he admitted he was. Yeah, he could have just like lied and said that he was just like mad or whatever. At least he was. At least he knew going in that he was probably going to lose the fight if Morissette was on his feet, so he just hit him when he was still sitting down. Such a cheap shot. Down to just 32 laps remaining in our New York City street course race. We've had 4 cautions so far. Once Matt Kenseth pits, pit stops will conclude. And then Greg Biffle will be back in the lead. He's already clinched the most laps led for each of the 4 races so far this season. He's led over 500 laps through the first 3 races of the season leading up to this one. Good chance he's going to lead right around 100 more today. So put him over the 600 lap lead mark in the first 4 races of the season. Now, of course, 315 of those 600 laps were at Martinsville, but still, just in those other 3 races to have about 300 laps led combined as well is insane, especially to consider the fact 2 of them are road courses and the other one's a super speedway at Daytona. Greg Biffle has dominated this season so far, but he just still trying to play catch up in the point standings. The guy he's trying to chase is his rookie teammate Carl Edwards, and Edwards happens to be a guy who has led laps today as well, and is currently in second, so it doesn't even look like Biffle's going to take the points lead once again, despite potentially having 3 wins in the first 4 races, all because of that first race of the year in the Daytona 500 where he blew an engine while leading and finished 42nd. I think it is safe to say, out of the gate, the 16 team looks like the team to beat, even though he's not yet in the points lead. Just got to keep this consistency up, and he'll be in that points lead very, very soon. Assuming Edwards still finishes second and Biffle gets the win, Biffle's going to close in 20 points on him today, and then that lead's going to be down to just 11 going into the 5th race of the season tomorrow night at Pocono. And a doubleheader at that, Pocono-Dover, and both those races will be 50% races. So 100-lap race at Pocono and then a 200-lap race at Dover. A couple of quick races on the Cup schedule. Our first 2 50% races of the season out of 4. And it'll all be in one stream starting tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live on KRC. Tony Stewart's interviews were fun to listen to, but when he goes on tirades like he does, though, it's hard to take him seriously just because of how many he's had in his career. Even the recent stuff with SHR, like the facts are lining up, or I wouldn't say the facts are lining up, but just the things that have happened with SHR against or with Tony Stewart in NASCAR in recent years, you can understand why he would be upset, but I do think he, blows it a little bit out of proportion compared to what it actually is. Kenseth still has not hit pit road. I was expecting him to pit around lap 150 anyway if he does try to stretch the field run as far as he can, which, I mean, he stayed out at this point. I think that's just what he's going to attempt to do. It's still risky to do so. He's losing positions, as we speak from where he cycles out also. And it sounds like Kenseth will pit this time by, so if I remember correctly, he will be pitted past the start-finish line, so Biffle will not get the lead this time by at the line, but the following time he will. As Biffle continues to pull away from the 99 of Carl Edwards. The restarts have been crazy today, though. We've seen 3 and 4 wide on the restarts today, especially with the lap cars around it. So if we have a restart with more than 10 laps to go, I'd say it's more likely Biffle would lose the lead than to keep the lead because he's lost the lead on each of the last 2 restarts. Got it back quickly, then we had another yellow. Kenseth is in the pits, and Biffle has about a 3.9 second lead over teammate Carl Edwards. Roush Fenway Racing looking for a 1-2 finish tonight, but who will be the winner? Can Edwards get his first career win, or will Biffle hang on? Or will Mike Bliss, running 3rd or 4th, have a shot at his first career win? If we get another late race restart, he'll have a shot as well. Biffle's race to lose if it stays green, but if we do get a caution, these restarts have been about as wild as a restart could possibly get. Seen a couple accidents on restarts so far today. None of them Biffle was involved in, luckily, but they have happened. 26 laps to go right now. Still a decent ways yet to the white flag. For Biffle to get to the lead from there at least. Which is what he wants. And there's the caution with 26 to go. Our 5th caution of the race. Don't go anywhere, folks. This is going to get nuts. Scott Wimmer again. Oh my gosh, that was a hard crash. Wimmer and Schrader, second time Wimmer's been involved in an accident. What a rough day. After qualifying on the pole, his day has gone in a downward spiral. I don't even know how that happened. I don't know if he just hooked the 49 or if the 49 tried to block him and hooked himself plus Wimmer into the wall, but another caution and another restart ensuing. This is going to get nuts. Lap cars are still going to be in play as well, as we have still a little bit more than 20 to go. Green flag back in the air, and the field is all bunched together again. And remember, Bliss and Gordon stayed out a little longer than Edwards and Biffle. They could have a little bit fresher tires as well. Lap cars are 3 wide, and they're also 3 wide for second behind Biffle. Biffle sandwiched in with nowhere to go, almost making contact with Riggs. Now he does make contact with Riggs. Knocking the 16 a little bit wide. 3 wide to the bottom goes another car. Terry Labonte, 4 wide. This is not going to work. All trying not to wreck. Cars bouncing off of one another. Biffle's in the eye of the storm. They're still 3 wide through the S's back there. Field going to make it through. Biffle's still stuck on the outside, though. He can't get to the bottom. Schrader, who just wrecked, is right around him. Biffle finally gets to the bottom, but this time he at least holds on to the lead. 21 laps left. Downtown New York. Biffle 3 wide with the lap traffic again. He needs to get around these guys, but they're side by side in front of him, and he's got nowhere to go. Jimmy Spencer getting out ahead. Kenseth on fresher tires as well. It's exactly what he needed. Not sure how far deep in the field he is. He's got fresher tires in the field right now. I think Elliott Sadler's up to third in the M&M's 38 car. Bunch of scrambled eggs on a non-stick pan. That's a good analogy. That's exactly what we were dealing with there. I don't even know where Elliott Sadler came from, but he is in the mix. Edwards still struggling to get by Terry Labonte. 20 to go. Biffle needs to get by Jimmy Spencer. And as long as he does so, you know Jimmy Spencer's not going to be easy to pass. Edwards has finally gotten around Labonte, and it looks like Sadler is on the inside of Terry as well. Biffle's still in the dirty air right now behind Spencer. It's affecting him at least a little bit. Biffle with the dive underneath the 50. Timed that corner perfect. Arced it off well. Clears Jimmy Spencer. And now Biffle in the clean air and has a 1 second lead. $19 laps to go. Fastest lap of the race from Biffle, that last lap of 55.770. What a lap. You can bet he's trying to pull away. Running lap times like that at this place. New York City's never seen speeds like this downtown. Oh, big hit! Big hit for the 16. And a terrible crash. And a lapse of everything there. Everybody luckily missed him when he came flying back across the racetrack and into the outside wall from the inside tire barrier. That's a choke job if I've ever seen one before. I don't know if Biffle's still going to be in the lead or not. He was in the lead when the caution came out, but he's going to have some severe damage. I have no clue how I even did that. I have not been close to that barrier all night. And we're going to have another restart, and Biffle's got some severe damage, I would have to assume, to the right front of that race car. Following the 6th caution of the night, 15 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. Heavy damage on the right side of Biffle's race car. He hit the wall pretty hard, too, with the right side. Has to survive. Lap car's 3 wide in front of him. Carl Edwards trying to get the first career win. The doors maybe opened up for him. Sadler got held up on the restart further back there in 3rd. Biffle stuck up high still. Lap car of Kenny Schrader in the middle. He's been involved in a wreck. Carl Edwards to the lead. Biffle slides wide. Biffle gets to the bottom quickly. Biffle's going for it. Edwards has cleared the lap traffic. Biffle trying to do the same. 14 to go. This time by Carl Edwards is the leader. Biffle back underneath him. Not going to make it easy for the rookie. Edwards leads at the line. Seen cautions back in the pack today on restarts as well. Battle for track position between the 99 and the 16 in case we get a yellow at any moment. We'll have the advantage on the restart. We may have less than 10 to go the next restart, so the lap cars might not even come into play either. Maybe easier to defend or easier to overtake. Tyler Burbeck, True Assassin 88X6 for watching as well. Oh, a little wide goes Biffle. He cooked it deep. Contact with his teammate. And he's out in front. Biffle's got severe damage on his car, but he's holding on. Edwards driving it in deep. Trying to get back to him. And now the clean air advantage to Biffle with 13 to go. Trying to survive. I don't know how I did not DNF after that wreck. Given the geographic location, I wish this was a real track too. It'd be great for TV ratings every year. I feel like it'd be an instant crown jewel if they had a street course race in New York. Edwards is not done yet. He is battling hard. Oh, contact! Both cars in the wall. Edwards is around hard. Caution is out. The leaders have gotten into it. Biffle held on, but Edwards most certainly did not. Big hit for the 99. See, I hit hard in the right side door by the 49 of Ken Schrader. Another late race caution, our 7th of the day. Enrique Fernando, thanks for tuning in. This thing's getting sloppy late in the going, and we're going to have less than 10 to go in the restart. At least I think. I hope. Edwards might be done. I think he's out of the race. I don't see Edwards anywhere up here anymore, and I think the rookie's day has come to an end, and the points leader is out. Green flag back in the air. More damage to the 16 now as we have 9 to go in the restart, but the lap cars are still in the way. Not an ideal situation for Greg Biffle. Car's so unstable now, too. Elliott Sadler trying to go for the win. He's in the middle, 3 wide. Biffle down low. Slides up, he's clear. Sadler battling with Terry Labonte in the 44. They make contact. Coming to 8 laps to go this time by. I think the caution has to come out with less than 10 to go, not the restart. Which is probably why the lap cars were in the mix again. But Biffle held on this time. Initially. I don't even know where Mike Bliss is anymore either. I don't even think he restarted in the top 5. Sadler trying to go for the win. Only drivers to win this year are Greg Biffle and Tony Stewart. I don't think Biffle's going to be able to pull away again. 3 wide back around Matt Kenseth. Remember, Kenseth has fresh tires compared to everybody else. This is what he needed, were 3 cautions back to back to back. Take advantage on the restarts. He was the last car to pit by a long shot. He pitted probably about almost 15 laps after the first set of cars that pitted when the window opened. And we're down to 7 laps to go. He's running out of time, but heck, if he gets one more restart, he might have a shot. I think he's up to 5th, and he's battling Jarrett for 4th. No lap traffic ahead of the 16 anymore. So has to run his own race now. Trying to survive the late pressure. You never know, True Assassin. You just never know. Jeff Gordon is putting a lot of pressure on Elliott Sadler for 2nd place. If they battle enough, look out Matt Kenseth. Kenseth still hasn't gotten around Dale Jarrett, though. Get a few laps after the restart. It's just so tough to pass after that. 6 laps to go. There's cars on the field with damage. I would not doubt that we could potentially see a caution for debris. We haven't seen a debris yellow yet today. We've seen some hard hits. Sadler needs this. Hopefully, stay away from Gordon. Stay clear of him. .1. Yeah, our pace has definitely dropped when you consider the fact that we were running right before that. All this damage came on the right side of the 16 car. He was running 55.7s just before it. 56.331 that last lap. 5 laps to go for Greg Biffle to win the first street course in NASCAR history. Car's so light in these corners. Sadler trying to close. A little bit quicker than Biffle the first couple corners this lap. Pushes a little harder into the braking zone, maybe a little too hard though. He goes a lot wider than the Biff. Gordon closing in on Edwards, and Edwards lost Biffle that time into the S's. Just a 0.4 of a second lead coming to 4 laps to go. Five cautions in the last 60 laps of this race. 7 total. And the first 2 all came in the first 20 laps. Tale of 2 races. Kind of like the Roval for the Cup Series in real life last weekend. Aggressiveness has been turned up on these late race restarts. Will we get another one? Or was that last one it? This is Sadler's last shot to try to get the Biffle. Yeah, Grady's from Brazil, by the way, as well. Biffle's so good in the S's. That's where he's definitely at his best. Get to 3 laps to go this time by. Edwards charging a lot harder on corner entry than Biffle. Gordon starting to lose the 38 to 16. He's going to need Sadler to catch Biffle and really start battling him if he's going to want a shot at the win still. I don't even think he's going to have a shot at second unless that happens. Biffle's car bottoming now with the damage, I'm sure, on the right rear corner panel. They'll be coming to 2 to go. Biffle a little quicker than Sadler that last lap, and he picked up his pace by about 1/10 of a second from the lap before. The caution comes out, it will likely end the race too. At this point. So Sadler kind of needs it to stay green and just has to have the lap of his life. Lap and a half of his life. So far, so good for him. Biffle locked the tires up just a little bit and went just a tad wide. Sadler going to close. They'll be coming to the white flag. No cautions on the final lap. Can Sadler have enough to get to the bumper? He's 0.4 of a second off the lead at the line. White flag in the air. In the New York City street course race. With a little loose on entry into turn 1. Powers down quickly. I don't know who's in 4th anymore. I don't think it's Dale Jarrett. It looks like it's maybe Jimmy Johnson, but I'm not entirely sure. Track is very dark. Gotten used to it at this point in the race. That might have been Sadler's last chance to catch Biffle. He's been better than him consistently in the S's. Biffle, so far this lap, has been a tenth quicker than Sadler. There's no shot into the final quarter for Sadler to do it. It's going to be 3 wins in a row for Greg Biffle as he hangs on late race restarts, self-inflicted at most, but he's still going to go on to win the first street course race in NASCAR history in downtown New York City. Biffle wins it. What a win. Another dominating performance, but still had a thriller at the end. 3 in a row, Greg Biffle, and he'll go for 4 and potentially 5 if he could sweep the doubleheader tomorrow night at Pocono and Dover. 2 50% races tomorrow. Biffle's won at Pocono in real life, and Dover for that matter, so he may go on to potentially win 5 in a row. What a streak that would be. What a win. What a fight. What a survival. That strategy ended up working out for Kenza because he finished 5th. Kudos for him. I didn't think we were going to get that many late race yellows that he was going to have a shot to catch up, but he did. He got him, and he was making the most of it. 7 cautions for 21 caution laps, 23 lead changes, half a second margin of victory, 105.97 miles per hour was the average race speed, and 3 hours, 18 minutes to get tonight's race in on the New York Metro Speedway for the Rush Hour 350 right here on KRC. Started second, won the race, led 133 of 175 laps. That was Greg Biffle en route to his 3rd straight victory and 3 wins now in the first 4 races of the season. With Edwards DNFing there in those final 10 laps of the race, it looks like Biffle will be the new points leader more than likely. Elliott Sadler is going to be in 2nd place. No laps led for him. He just kind of held on there on those late race restarts. He also started top 5. Notice track position meant a lot. A lot of guys that qualified towards the front finished towards the front, except for Kenseth. I mean, he had a good pit strategy there late that helped him scratch and claw his way into the top 5, and he led laps on that strategy to get some bonus points as well. So, worked out for him. Anyway, Gordon led 4 laps, finished in 3rd. Jimmy Johnson was 4th. He didn't lead a lap today. Mentioned Kenseth finished 5th. Leading 11 laps, Kurt Busch finishes 6th for Roush Fenway Racing as well. He started deep in the field. Dale Jarrett started deep, finished 7th. Fell back on that last restart a bit. Tony Stewart led 8 laps, finished 8th. Rusty Wallace started top 5, finished 9th. And Mike Bliss still gets a top 10. He just kind of fell off there, those late race restarts. I think he restarted when the 3rd to last caution came out. He was 3rd and just kept going backwards every restart. He did lead 6 laps today to get some bonus points, though. A good run for Bliss, his 3rd top 10 of the year. Kyle Busch ended up 11th. Mark Martin, our teammate, ended up 15th. Let's see here. Martrix Jr., 22nd. Carl Edwards, 24th. So Edwards pitted late after wrecking. He had a lot of damage he had to repair there. Still finished on the lead lap. He had 13 laps led, but a 24th place finish for the points leader. That will drop him out of the points lead early in the season. And we had 33 cars finish on the lead lap tonight, with 4 drivers DNFing: Ricky Rudd, Ryan Newman, Jason Leffler, Travis Quaffle, and those were all due to engine failures. I don't think we had any of these guys wreck out of the race. I don't remember any of them being involved in any accidents. And we'll check out the point standings before we end the stream. But first, we get to see Greg Biffle in victory lane. Regina Huddleston, see you in the chat. Thanks for watching tonight as well. Right there at the end, hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you have not done either of those 2 things already. Have a chance at Pocono. Yeah, Dover's very tough for me on this game, I will say. Daytona's tough for me on the EA Sports games, but Dover on this game specifically, very tough. I didn't have those problems with Dover on NASCAR 5. The good news is it's a 50% race, so you never know. I'm going to Pocono tomorrow for the first race, so hopefully I can try to build a points cushion. Thank goodness I'm going to Dover early in the season and not late in the season on this. So if I do have a bad race, kind of like I did with Daytona, I have plenty of time to try to catch back up. Biffle will have his first points lead in the early season after 4 races and 3 consecutive wins, and the only other driver with a win is second in points. After Stewart won the Daytona 500, he is 15 points out of first. Dale Jarrett with a good start early in the season, looking for another championship late in his career, as he is third in points. Gordon fourth, Kenseth is fifth, Sadler sixth. Carl Edwards drives from the points lead back to 7th. In one race, he lost 7 spots in points. I guess technically 6 spots in points, but still, that's a big bounce backwards. He's only 55 out of first. Under this points format, he can score 190 points in a single race, so by no means, I mean, he could be in the points lead mathematically in the next race again. You never know. Bobby Labonte is 8th. Mike Bliss, 9th with a great start to the year, and Jimmy Johnson is going to round out the top 10 in points. Again, this is very early in the season. We're only 4 races in. That's why the top 13 are within 1 race worth of points still. So, very, 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 very early in the year. It's going to take a few more races before they start to spread apart just a little bit. Thanks for everybody watching, though. Hit that like button again. Subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Start Time. NASCAR 06 doubleheader, Pocono, Dover, 2 50% races, 1 stream. See you guys tomorrow night. Have a good rest of your Friday evening, everybody.